The world's hair is on fire about the Trump agenda. Europe is flipping out, international news agencies have gone off the rails, liberal media feature emotional tales about fired workers, and internet pundits have expanded their stock of dumb guesses. But they're all a bit late. The program didn't start yesterday, and it's the latest salvo in the globalist agenda. With help from Wall Street, foreign powers have been investing in our institutions since the 1980s. Those include hostile foreign powers in Beijing, Riyadh, and Moscow. The operation has several parts. Among others, they include a massive propaganda campaign, anti Western content in the university, and supply side economics. Each has subgroupings. A few in the supply side directory are outsourcing, open borders, and 11 class war policies run through both parties. It's all explained in detail in the Big Book of Propaganda on Amazon. The agenda has been plain to see for some 45 years. It would be plain, that is, except for the smokescreens of journalists and professors. Despite their efforts, Trump was elected after the Biden administration cranked some class war policies up to 11. For those who were asleep during the last 4 years, these were inflation, wokeism, and open borders. The supply side half of the program has been revamped over the years. It's sponsored by the same interests and it has the same objectives, but it comes in new and extreme forms, and MAGA voters are getting more than they bargained for. Decommissioning federal agencies is sponsored by Wall Street, which doesn't want to pay for government. They made that clear in the 80s when they closed down the mental hospitals. Now mental patients are camping in public libraries. The logical fix for government waste is a cost-benefit review of the departments. Shutting them down wholesale will put millions out of work and wreck the economy. Wrecking the economy, by the way, is another supply-side objective. The chaos allows financial players to game the system. The panic allows them to fleece the federal government. The S&L and 2008 bailouts are examples. Trade war is an extreme version with potentially catastrophic results. Next up are financial deregulation and deficit tax cuts for the rich. The combination will bring the worst depression of our generation, which the corporate sector will exploit to the max. Caving to Moscow is part of an ongoing project. It started with mass migration and authoritarian laws in Europe. That's all sponsored by oil money. The Russian deal is run by two groups, a different cache of oil money and Wall Street, which doesn't want to pay to defend Europe. Of course, Western countries could have won this war in their sleep. They didn't, on orders from the financial cartel, and Trump's more extreme betrayal could turn the cradle of civilization into a Soviet hellscape. The objectives for all of these affairs, as well as the financial interests that sponsor them, is key intel. Needless to say, none of it is mentioned in the media or by pundits on the net. Had they done so, liberals might have cleaned up their act years ago, and Europe could have built alternative energy sources and thus freed themselves from the petro-dictatorships. But internet pundits have the same college training as the media elite. They specialize in half-truths and lies by omission. Corporate spokesmen from Lester Holt to Robert Reich, Piers Morgan, and Douglas Murray all follow the same formula. They tell half the story, and that's if you're lucky. They usually tell a much smaller fraction, and their shredded narratives are useless to the public. Thus we have the coming disaster of extreme anti-Western policies sponsored by global interests and a pundit class working like the devil to disguise it. If ever there was a time for the public to get active, this is it. But it's unclear how to proceed. Society is controlled by the global interests, and without access to our institutions, the only option is to hit the streets. We'll need help, including from the MAGA crowd. But many, if not most of them, are still under the Trump spell, and we have no credibility with them anyway. We sat by while corporate liberals put through 40 years of class war policy. That's described in detail in the Big Book of Propaganda on Amazon. To smooth the way, we could admit our own mistakes. And this is a basic feature of adulthood. As people in AA know, part of the process is making amends. That'll mean reforming the Democratic Party. Liberal voters need to wake up, smell the corruption, and take action against the corporate elite. It also means recognizing points of agreement with conservatives. In any event, we have to reach out to MAGA people. Only a strong political movement can stop the extremist agenda now in the works.